hear that they're banging on the doors here.
This is how they communicate. This is how they get their human contact right now, is yelling through the doors.
It was so crystal clear. It's like looking at people going, we're making you worse.
Prison in Norway is humanity. We punish them by taking away their freedom, but we don't take away their life.
Are you hopeful that this Norway model will work here?
Yes.
I'll just kind of sit down here and relax. It doesn't even feel like prison anymore.
Inmates are in prison as a punishment. This is ridiculous.
Compassion and forgiveness and mercy. These are North Dakota values.
A couple of them call it prisony land.
To say that this is too nice, it would be saying that I'm not human and I don't deserve to be treated decently.
May God hold you in the palm of his hand.
There's a no shoes policy.
No shoes policy, so I have to put on some slippers because we like to keep it clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you show me around?
Yeah, of course.
What do you like about this house?
I love my grill.
It felt like we were visiting somebody's house for the first time, and they were excited to show us around.
So this is your room?
This is my room. Open up.
Wow, it's big.
Yeah.
Got your TV.
TV, DVD.
Yeah.
Computer, closet, clothes. I have my own sheets, everything, you know.
How's the bed? Comfortable?
Yeah, the bed is comfortable. Sit.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like a college dorm.
Except it's not. This is a minimum security prison in Norway called Bolstøy, where Dardan is serving a 1-year sentence for drug trafficking.
I have my washing machine, my dryer, and I have my shower. Brand new. Boom.
So these are heated floors.
These are heated floors.
You don't see that in most prisons.
Oh, I know.
How do you think Americans will react when they see this prison?
They're going to think we're crazy here in Norway.
Why?
You guys have another view on prison. You're like really punishing these people. It's like they're animals.
He's never been to the U.S., but he's seen images of American prisons on TV, and he told us what he saw was small cells in harsh living conditions.
I think it is time for a change in the prison systems because it's evident that it's not working the way it was designed. It's a system that has went unchallenged for 100+ years in the way that it's operated. So.
Yeah, and
it's their lunchtime.
Do you think American prisons will ever look like this?
Never. Never.
Everybody has their own key to their room. And this is my home away from home right here.
You got your central air conditioner.
It stays nice and cool in here, so I have no complaints there. Pillow top mattress, that's new.
So this isn't your average prison mattress?
Absolutely not. First couple of nights, it was weird. You go from one of those little hard mattresses to something like this, and it's quiet in here. You're just kind of laying there like, this isn't right. Something's wrong.
It feels wrong to him because this isn't Norway. This is North Dakota, and prison hasn't always been like this for Taylor Burhow, who's serving an 8-year sentence for killing 3 of his friends while drunk driving. These are some of the first images of a different kind of American prison, something most people have never seen.
It's a big TV.
Absolutely, it's an 80-inch. All of them are HD channels now too. They upgraded our cable, which is nice.
It's strange for Jonathan McKinney too.
Man, we got puppies and ice cream and flowers, bro. It blows my mind.
He's serving a 20-year sentence for double murder and other serious charges.
This is pretty much what I do. Oh.
This is a loom, a crochet loom. This one will be for a teenage girl who can't afford a beanie to keep her warm in the winter. Got a soft spot. You know, I grew up in poverty and in need, so I know what it's like.
McKinney was part of a violent gang, and before he came here, he was locked away in North Dakota's maximum security prison.
I said, hey, you're not gonna give me freedom. You're not treating me like a person. I was violent. I was lashing out. I didn't care. I had nothing to lose.
Because of Norway's influence, Prison officials allowed him to transfer to medium security when he showed good behavior.
Do people see prison as revenge?
I think we do, but to say that I deserve revenge, you know, I'm still a person. I'm still human.
The person, the human being, it's the core of Norway's approach and a way of treating inmates they say benefits society.
People, person. You know, the people go, what do you guys call them? People. Turns out that's what they are.
Carrie Ann Jackson is on a mission to transform how people think about prisons in her home state.
So you went to Norway as one of the corrections directors from North Dakota. How was that?
Life-changing, and I don't mean that lightly. I saw a system that says our goal is to rehabilitate, and they actually live out their goal in every policy and practice they do. There's nothing saying we couldn't change our system. It's our system. So I came back thinking that's exactly what we were going to do.
More than 2 years ago, Jackson and North Dakota's state prison director, Leanne Birch, traveled to Norway with the European Prison Project, a program that takes state leaders to a country that has one of the lowest recidivism rates in the world, while the United States has one of the highest rates of people cycling in and out of prison.
Like all of a sudden it seemed like we were hurting everybody, where like I didn't see it that way before, but it was so crystal clear. It's like looking at people going, we're making you worse.
That trip left a deep impression, and when they got back, they started to make changes, which didn't require new laws or more tax dollars.
Did you think at the outset this is going to be a hard sell to do Norway
absolutely.
back home?
Absolutely. Recognizing that, yeah, we're much different socially, much different in just the resources that they have put towards their prison system, and just the attitudes of Scandinavians as opposed to Americans and North Dakotans.
And it isn't a matter of changing the attitudes of lawmakers or the public yet. The biggest struggle so far has been convincing their own corrections officers to change their minds when they've been doing their job the same way for a very long time.
Prison needs to be an uncomfortable situation. Inmates are in prison as a punishment.
Sam Mitchum worked as a corrections officer for years, most recently at North Dakota's maximum security prison. He says adapting Norway principles to U.S. prisons won't work.
Their country is not that big. They don't have the predatory instincts like the criminals here do. They don't have the gang problems. They don't have the drug problems.
Norway has murderers, they have criminals, drug dealers, but you don't think it can work here?
I don't. I think the way that they were brought up there, their way of thinking is not the way the criminal element here thinks.
But where Mitchum sees differences, Jackson sees possibilities and a real need for change.
I call it the best trip that I wish I would have never taken. And I had a hard time when I was there because I couldn't understand why it could be so different for them than it is for us.
In Norway, the nice rooms, heated floors, and special privileges are for a purpose. They view each inmate as your future neighbor, so they say it's in everyone's best interest to treat them humanely.
We want them to have a normal life. We punish them by taking away their freedom, but we don't take away their life.
In Norway, there's no such thing as a lifetime sentence, so they believe prison should look and feel like everyday life. At their maximum security prison, a massive wall surrounds the facility, but looking out their bedroom window, you would never know it. Prisoners have keys to their own bedrooms, fully furnished living rooms and kitchens, with sharp knives to cook with after they've gone to their very own grocery store.
I have been working in several convenience stores.
There's 5-star cooking classes, painting, and they even have a fully equipped recording studio.
Do you feel like this is prison?
Your freedom is taken from you, you cannot go to the store, you cannot see your children when you want. Of course, I'm still in prison.
And part of prison is being under constant watch by guards. But here, the relationship is different. They call it dynamic security.
How important is that relationship between you guys and the staff?
It's everything.
How so?
Because then we are human. They are not up there and we are down there. We're equal on every level.
What do you like about this job?
Coming to work and see that you can change people.
Do you see yourself as a law enforcement officer?
No, I don't.
Is it social work?
Yeah, more social work.
Eric Trebek used to work as a kindergarten teacher until one of the parents told him he would make a great prison officer, a career that is highly regarded and respected in Norway.
We eat dinner with the inmates together, and for them it's normal, and for us it's our way to work with them. I talk to them about life, I talk to them about my life.
Do you ever fear for your safety?
No, never.
Even if a prisoner here is a convicted murderer?
No. I don't think about what I've done. It's in the past. My job is to look at the future and help them to look at the future. Murder is just one part of him.
And you see the other parts.
This belief in second chances and the ability to look beyond a prisoner's crime, these are the Norway values that Carrie Ann Jackson hopes to remind North Dakotans that they have too.
Why is that a hard sell? Compassion and forgiveness and mercy. And they say, you know, but that's Norway. And it's like, North Dakota, you got a billboard that says be nice. These are North Dakota values.
Some of the changes inspired by Norway are easy to spot. You can also see Norway's dynamic security approach and how North Dakota's staff interact with inmates. So right now they're having a softball game between inmates and staff members, but looking out on the field, it's hard to tell who's who. Now there are paintings on the walls, art classes, more games, and a new choir.
May the wind be always at your back.
By giving us this cultured approach, allowing us to learn and have other programs to do, it gives us a sense that, okay, well, maybe we're not stuck in this little box over here as convict.
It's nice to have a real shower with a real shower head and adjustable shower spray, you know, and makes you feel a little more normal. They treat me decent. They treat me like a person. I'm not going to disrespect you because you don't disrespect me.
Part of the respect is how much they seem to trust Jonathan McKinney. No officers were standing next to us while we interviewed him inside their garden. Without the same staff or resources as Norway, this new approach to security is something corrections officers are trying to adjust to.
What changes have been asked of you?
We interact a lot differently than what we used to.
Hey David, dinner right today? Yeah. Good. Ready for supper?
They do something good, they want staff to be able to reach out and shake their hand and say, you know, good job.
And how do you feel doing that?
Well, I think it's hard for us being so security oriented for so long, and by shaking hands and stuff like that, it's a bond. Hopefully they don't cross that boundary.
Hey, how are you?
Some of these changes, does it make you afraid for your safety?
It took a while to get used to, and I think we are still trying to get used to some of the concepts.
It took Norway time to adjust to these concepts too. In the 1980s and 90s, they were struggling with a high recidivism rate, so they decided to change their whole system, and it was difficult to convince their staff as well.
This is about changing the hearts and minds of men and saying, you did something harmful to somebody, you were disrespectful, so I'm going to show you respect. You're showing me aggression, I'm going to show you patience.
Wanting staff to go in and plain clothes and mingle with these inmates and stuff, when they teach you that you do not create a friendship or a social thing with inmates. You're taught that in basic. It's beat into your head, but now they're asking you to do it.
You don't want to do that.
I won't do it.
Mitchum quit working at the maximum security prison. He was put on indefinite leave after responding negatively to the changes.
They're still human. They still need to be treated with respect. They don't need to be abused, mistreated, but they need to learn. Prison is prison. If you show them you're weak at the prison by not giving them consequences, they're going to prey on that. They say this is a daycare. They call it Camp Snoopy. And a couple of them call it Prisonyland.
We heard that some inmates call this prison Camp Snoopy or Prisonyland.
I haven't heard that one yet.
What do you think of that?
You know, I've been to Disneyland. It's a nice place. If that's the community that we want to build here, and that's the community that the residents want here, it's not the worst place.
He says what is the worst place is solitary confinement. And after returning from Norway, they realized it was the first place that needed to change. Before the Norway changes, how many people would be in cells by themselves like this?
Prior to Norway, there was about 100 guys in cells like this in this unit, and today there's 28.
So by more than half?
Yes.
Inmates are sent here for a reason, like when they get in a fight or assault an officer.
Use this, not this.
But the Department of Corrections says they're using solitary less now and relying more on counseling to resolve issues.
You want them to be around people. If you just isolate them and put them into a cell, they're not going to be able to interact with others and deal with those conflicts.
Do you worry that that is sending a message to inmates that if they get in a fight or they assault an officer, there really aren't very harsh consequences for that?
There's still consequences. I would stop short of saying there's no consequences.
But soon after the changes went into effect, the number of assaults by prisoners went up.
There's been an increase in fights, but again, to say that that's because of Norway or implementations of programs, I think that's short-sighted. We have to examine other factors like our population counts.
North Dakota's prison population has grown in recent years, making it all the more important that when people get out of prison, they don't come back. Some people might argue some of these people are evil. Mm-hmm. They cannot be rehabilitated.
Right.
Their crimes are just too bad. Mm-hmm. What about those people? Should they be treated with the Norway model?
Yeah, because if I treat you poorly, then I'm just as bad as you are, right? I look at Facebook posts, I shouldn't, but I do. And people post when they're like, oh, they released this sex offender. They should do to him in prison exactly what he did to his victims, and like writing this really vile stuff. But then what would that make us? Who's the model?
If somebody took my wife's life, why should the guy that took her life be able to sit in there and have Wii and free pizza?
It felt wrong to you.
It felt wrong to me, and it is wrong.
It's a feeling that isn't lost on McKinney either, especially when thinking about the victims' families.
I'm sure that they're happy that I'm behind bars. You know, I'm sure they wanted the death penalty, you know, and before I came to prison, I would have too. You know, if you killed my family member, I would have wanted to kill you.
If you had a loved one murdered, would you want the killer? Would you want them to have a life inside prison that looked like this? Or is this too nice?
I would want them to be able to live their life as best as they could in prison. Because regardless, you still have the stress of being in prison. You still have the stress of losing your family and being separated from family and losing friends and whatever else. Settle.
In North Dakota, the prison they've been able to change the most is their minimum security facility. That's where Taylor Burhow is, and it's where inmates have the least amount of time left to serve. What would you tell people who look at this, look at the big screen TVs and the nice comfortable bed? What would you tell the critics?
That not all of us are bad people in here, and if we follow the rules and we're trying to make ourselves better people and we work towards it, that we should be rewarded a little bit.
You deserve another chance.
A second chance.
So far, 9 states have participated in the European Prison Project. Most recently, Alaska and Oregon traveled to Norway. Out of all of the states that have made the trip, the program directors say North Dakota has led the way in making reforms back home. But for Carrie Ann Jackson, she thinks her home state is not fully committed. We're not talking inside the prison. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I resigned because I think they missed the whole point. We're not there. And they're saying, look how far we've come. But all I see is that, you know, we put a mural up and we have some barbecues and we have a choir. But the biggest reason is I don't think I was able to do there what I want to do there. And for me, there's no point in working in corrections if I'm not changing it.
Don't changes like this take time?
I think that changing culture takes time. I know this agency, when we change something, we change something. When we want it done, we want it done.
You don't think it's going to happen?
No. Not anytime soon.
Do you think the system as it is, the old way, do you think it's working?
I don't think it has worked, in my opinion, either way, but I do know that the old way was better as far as keeping staff safe.
In a few years, if they're able to see numbers, would you be supportive of this?
If they could show me positive results, I would eat crow. I'm a big enough man. If I made a mistake or I thought wrong, I would change my opinion and say, hey, I was wrong.
You still feel committed to this Norway model?
Yes. We are committed to it. We're committed to increasing the humanity in prison and bettering our community and our state and our country.
Do you see a change in behavior? Do you see positive results?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
I have seen where it has made a difference.
I'm ready to do what it takes to try and change the system for the better.
Going through the programs, earning my way to the medium security prison, I'm no longer violent. I don't feel like lashing out. I felt like they gave me something. I felt like they treated me like a human. They gave me the opportunity to prove that, hey, I could change.